Hey everybody, it's Jeremy Caston with Caston Racing and Speed Bull USA. Today we're going to work on the front end of our SOAR TD1R. This is going to be applicable to both versions of the buggy as well as both versions of the truggy. We're going to start by doing some maintenance to the front end. We're going to start with the upper arm and the upper pillow ball of the front end. Alright, we'll be right back and we'll show you what we're going to do. Okay, let's get to it. We've got the TD1R e-buggy here in front of us, but we're going to be working on just maintaining the upper pillow ball. And that's going to be the same process whether you're using the e-buggy or the nitro buggy or the e-truggy or the nitro truggy. It's the same pillow ball, the same steering block on all four of the cars. So we're going to go ahead and take the upper suspension arm. We're going to remove the pillow ball from the steering block, and then we're going to remove the pillow ball. We're going to clean it, polish it up a little bit. We're also going to do a little bit of a modification to how the pillow ball is secured in the upper arm, as well as another little modification to help reduce some slop on the car. Not that it's a huge deal, but you can always benefit from reducing some of the play in the car. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take the pillow ball off of the steering block by removing the plate off of the top of the steering block, because the ball is actually held to the car through the bottom of the plate. So you have to take the plate off first. Everything's easier with a Makita. And with Cow RC products, I've got my nice mat as well as the parts tray to hold my pieces off here to the side, off camera view. Okay, so the ball is held on to the steering plate with 2.5 millimeters. There's a bolt on the bottom, as well as the ball itself has a hex, 2.5 hex. So I'm just going to use my Makita to hold that in place while I remove the bolt. There we go. I'm going to go ahead, just going to thread the bolt back in part way, because I use that bolt to spin the nut or the ball when it's time to clean it. It's a place for my cordless drill to get a little grip on. So, and also I won't lose it that way. Okay, so these are, similar. They're not a full pillow ball, so they're similar to any other rod end. Just like your shock eyelets, the ball and the shocks, at the end of your steering linkages, at the end of your camber links. However, they're bigger, so the fancy tools that make that easy for steering links and for shock eyelets, it's not going to work on this upper pillow ball. Okay, so now I'm going to take the bolt that holds the tension on the upper ball. There's a bolt with a nut. I'm going to remove that, and this is how you adjust the play in the ball. It doesn't have the standard bushing with a threaded nut on the outside, the 5 millimeter nut on the outside. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the bolt and nut. So now that it's free to be removed, we're going to pop the ball out. I use my flywheel pliers to do this. And there we have our upper ball. Okay, now that the ball's removed, just want to inspect the ball and inspect the upper link end, upper ball end. Make sure I didn't have any dirt or little rocks in there. Okay, everything looks all right. Okay, we're gonna do a quick little modification here before we go on with the ball. So I got my cordless drill here. What I'm gonna do is use a 3/32 drill bit, and I'm going to drill through the hole that the bolt that secures the tension on the upper pillow ball. I'm going to drill through that hole and remove the threads so that when the bolt goes in, it's not threading itself in. It's simply sliding in a hole. And then as you tighten the nut on the back side of the hole, it squishes the plastic and tightens the ball to the right tension. The hole is, and everything's made to good tolerances. So the hole in its stock configuration, this bolt kind of threads into the hole. So there are times that you're not even using the nut yet, but as you turn the bolt, you can feel it start to squeeze the upper pillow ball, and it's harder to adjust the proper tension on the upper pillow ball when you're dealing with the threads in the plastic and then the nut itself, trying to get that just right. So I prefer to just drill right through it. That way the bolt goes through easily. See, I'm pushing this bolt in and out with my fingers. It's not threaded into the link end. Okay, just goes through. It's nice and snug. It's not sloppy loose, but it just has enough of the threads drilled out so that the bolt just pops in and out. That way the tension is going to be applied to the upper ball only when you have the nut on the back side of this bolt, and you tension with the nut and the bolt and get the ball to the right amount of play, right amount of free movement that you want. Okay, so now that we have the ball out, let's go ahead and I'm going to slide the car off to the side, and we're going to use the same cordless drill bit, or if you have I have a little attachment for my Makita as well, a drill chuck. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the bolt that secures the ball to the bottom of the nut. Is a good place for the drill to lock onto. And then this washer that's built onto the bottom of the ball basically will hold the ball from moving once it's in the drill. Okay, so what I'm doing, I'm just gonna go ahead and just turn the ball, see if I can feel any scuffs or scratches on it. And I'm gonna use some green Scotch-Brite, orange Scotch-Brite, red Scotch-Brite, whatever Scotch-Brite you have, steel wool, whatever works. Just a little bit of abrasiveness to remove any scratches, just any scuff marks on the ball itself. Feels good. Okay, now we're gonna get out our handy Mother's aluminum polish. This stuff is awesome. I've had this since I was probably a teenager. I don't know, I've had it forever, it seems. I must not have polished enough stuff with it over the years, but it sure does work good on these pillow balls. So I'm just gonna get a little bit on the rag, and I'm going to use same drill with the ball, apply it with the Mother's with the rag, spin it over. and any of the pores in the metal that had attracted any loose dirt, any dust, anything at all inside of the pillow ball pores. Basically, the Mothers is going to pull that out and bring it to a nice shine. So we're just going to do this a couple times. Okay, and then I'm just going to use a clean part of the rag and just kind of buff it off. Okay, now I'm just going to lubricate the ball just a little bit before I put it back together. One way you can do this is graphite from a lead pencil. You can literally just use the pencil and draw, pretty much draw on the ball with the lead of the pencil. I have some dry lubricant graphite, probably back from, I don't know, Pinewood Derby days with Cole when he was a young Boy Scout or something, I don't know. I just put a little bit on the rag, not too much. But that's too much. That's alright, it'll work. Okay, so I'm just going to spin the ball in the graphite. That's all I'm doing. Filling in any little voids in the ball, getting some dry lubricant on the ball. You don't want any grease, anything sticky, or you know, a thick kind of lubricant is going to attract dust, dirt, particles of any kind. So a dry lubricant, that's the only way to go, is a dry lubricant. So either leave the ball completely dry or use some dry lubricant, graphite, pencil lead, whatever you have. So I'm just going to leave it chucked up in the drill here because it's a way to hold onto the ball easy, and just simply apply some pressure and pop it back into the link end. That's all it took. Getting it out is so much harder than putting it back in. If I didn't have it chucked up in the drill, I would just grab it with my flywheel pliers again and just grab a hold of the bolt on the bottom and push. Okay, so now we have a nice, clean, smooth upper pillow ball. Now we need to adjust it so that we have the right amount of play. So that's where the little modification that we did earlier is gonna come into play for us. So I'm gonna insert the screw, put the nut on the back side, putting the screw in. There's no threads to catch anywhere, so that did not affect our adjustment in any way. Only when we tighten the nut and start to squish the plastic, that's when the ball will start to become tight. So I'm just going to go ahead and just kind of snug the bolt to take away the free play. Okay, so we now have no play. It moves. It's not terrible sticky. We don't have any up and down movement at all. So we're just a little bit tight. The ball shouldn't just stay up. It should drop on its own, or at least fairly easily want to drop on its own. See how it just let gravity move it? Okay. So this ball doesn't have the shaft of the lower pillow ball. You know, it's not going to have as much gravity acting against it. But again, it should have nice, smooth ease of motion. Just a little bit of up and down play that you really can't adjust out of there, because there's really no way to adjust it other than by tightening the bolt a little bit more. But then you're going to lose your free rotation. So that's about as good as you can get. So now we have the upper ball cleaned, reinstalled, adjusted properly, nice and free. And we're going to put it back on the plate and back on the steering block. So this is a metal bolt going into the metal pillow ball, so we are going to use a little bit of Loctite. use blue Loctite on this. Okay, so I'm going to use the center hole of my 3-hole options. I'm going to use the center for now, and that way if I need to go longer or shorter, I can go either way. Just a little bit of blue Loctite. Into the bottom of the ball. Okay, now we're going to bolt this back up on top of the steering block. Make sure that okay, so our dog bone drive shaft is lined up with the outdrive. The steering block goes on top, and now the steering block is utilizing some metal threaded inserts. So we're going to use a little bit of thread lock for those as well. And then that is nice and free. Nice and squared up, nice and free. Rotates easy. Yeah, there's no slop or anything. Okay, so one last thing that I'll show you. That can be done easily. Okay, so we just used a 3/32 drill bit to drill through the bolt hole. So now that we have that drill bit out already, one thing we can do is eliminate a little bit of the slop at the upper arm location where the hinge pin goes through from the shock tower to the rear hinge pin location for the upper arm. Okay, there's always the opportunity for, just like we were just talking about, there's always forces being applied against the steering block, and the upper arm takes a lot of abuse. Okay, they're very strong, they're very durable, but you will find that the hole where the hinge pin goes through, it's a tube, it's a shaft, it's the whole arm, it's solid, but it will develop a little bit of play in there. If you want to get that play out, what you can do is go into the upper arm. You can do this on or off the car, either way, but where the rear webbing attaches to the hinge pin shaft, there's a little bit of extra material, and you can take your 3/32 drill and go in where that extra material is and just drill a very short hole, and you'll feel it just barely touch the hinge pin. Your drill, you don't have to force it, you'll feel it go in and just barely touch the hinge pin. Okay, the hinge pin is hardened and it's not going to drill through, but you'll feel it touch. And once you have your hole, you can use a 3mm set screw, very similar to the same or grub screw. Shoot, you could use a bolt there if you don't mind the bolt head sticking out, but I'm just using a very short grub screw. It's a 3mm. I don't know if it's going to focus for us or not, but 3mm in size, the same as what holds your shock shaft pins in on the bottom of your arms. Okay, same size. This one is shorter, and it goes into the arm right there in that corner, and just goes at a little bit of an angle, and it will touch the hinge pin, and it will remove any slop that's in there. So I usually try to just get it to touch and then just back it off just a 1/16 of a turn or so, just so it's not rubbing. Okay, see, there's just a little bit of wiggle in there, and a little bit is better than bound up. If you can find that nice happy medium, nice and free, eliminate that slop. Okay, that's something that Didion showed me. Didion Ho is the designer of the SOAR car, so he knows these things inside and out, and that's one thing that that he did on his car. Thought it was a really good idea. There's other cars that have the same issues, so I don't think it's just something with SOAR or with the plastic material. Okay, so we just fixed up our upper pillow ball. Got it cleaned. We made a little modification to the bolt that clamps it in place. Made a little modification to the upper arm to just kind of to snug some things up in that location there. So hope you liked the video. Hope you learned something. If you have any questions, if you have any suggestions for other videos, just please drop them down in the comments. And if you like the video, please hit that like button. Please subscribe and hit the notification bell. But thanks to Speedbull USA, Cast and Racing, we'll continue to make these videos and hopefully help you guys with your cars. And we will see you at a racetrack soon. Until then, soar on. Bye.